870 pages of the big, beautiful bill. Now, a lot of people haven't gone through it. What I want to focus on today in the big, beautiful bill are the Green New Deal. Everything that was removed from this bill regarding the Green New Deal. So what I'm gonna do is a quick search. Green New Deal. Guess what? Here's where it's at. The ending the Green New Deal, spending, promoting America First Energy, and other reforms. Now, the biggest thing to me is I always tell folks, it's either in the statute or the staff analysis. I'm not doing a staff analysis for 870 pages. I'm gonna throw it in GPT. That's how I'm gonna help, honestly, perplexity. That's how I'm gonna get here, right? But these are the sections. Section 7501 through section 7515, as you see, essentially all the termination of the Green New Deal subsidies. But what were in these subsidies? Because a lot of them, I would say, sound great, but it was more a fact of, okay, what would people actually qualify for? So as we see, section 7501, well, that's where we're gonna start at, right? And you can take notes if you want to, but this is clearly how laws get written. This is how the entire legislative process actually happens in itself. So in this section, for this 30 minutes or an hour that we'll go through this, we'll go through the Green New Deal and exactly what got eliminated. And what I plan on doing respectfully is doing this for my streamers and my content creators that are getting tips, and also my service workers. And no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. I want to do something that actually explains the Medicare and Medicaid cuts, so that whether you're in Houston, whether you're in Tennessee, whether you're in California, Joshua Tree, whether you're in New York, Arkansas, wherever, because we have a lot of people here on the stream today, that you can kind of understand what's out there. Now, if you want to, respectfully, if you want to send me your demographics, your profile, I'm not saying send me your income or whatever. Just say, hey, I'm a female in Hawaii, 27 years old, college graduate, and your profession, right? If you want to put that in the mentions, if you want to DM it, email it to me, whatever it may be, I'll create a profile for you. Right? I'll probably do 10 of these and say, you know what, out of these 10 profiles, what's in the big, beautiful bill for me? I think that's the biggest thing. So what I'm focused on now is the Green New Deal for my EV charging folks. So what we're going to do is go through the statutes. This section 7501 terminates the previously owned clean vehicle credit. Now, as you see, it's very simple. This moves the deadline from December 31st, 2032 to September 30th, 2025. So we really only have a couple more months for the subsidy to go into effect, right? But let me pull up my notes here. I should have just pulled my notes out to the side before the fact. So what does 7501 actually do? Now, if you purchase an EV, you could claim this tax credit up to $4,000, right? Or 30% of the vehicle's actual price, whatever is less. Now, if you had a Chevy Bolt EV, the 2023 Chevy Bolt EV, you could take basically $4,000 off your write-off. You're buying that car. That was your tax credit. That was 7501. So basically, up until September 30th of this year, this will be repealed. Now, the percentage of people taking advantage of that, EVs represent, respectfully, 17%. Oh, 2023 used electric vehicles, represented 17% of the EV sales market. So if you had a used EV, basically it was saying, all right, cool, but I don't think 17% of the entire EV market is enough to give somebody a $4,000 tax credit. That's what the Republicans said, right? So who does this hurt? All right, this hurts lower and middle class buyers who rely on the used market for affordable EVs, right? I think that there's a greater need, a greater push to not force electric vehicles on us. I think California tried to push it, and this is more than pushing back. Now, the used car dealerships who specialize in electric vehicles, they may also be impacted by this, but how many of us have car dealerships? How many of the car dealers actually lobbying the president to say, hey, this will be impacting us? Or did they say, hey, this EV mandate and this tax credit isn't helping us move any of these cars. We need to get them off our damn lot. Let's get them up out of here. So that's what they did. They terminated previously owned clean vehicle tax credit, which is good. But also the termination of the clean vehicle tax credit, which is 7502. And as you see here, it's a simple fix. Like when people talk about legislation sometimes, when we talk about lawmaking and its entire process, it's not what you think it is sometimes. It's not some drawn out super paragraph stuff. Sometimes it's a simple technical change saying, hey, we're going to bump this up from this tax credit ending in 2032 to the tax credit ending September 2025. Now, here's the reason for this, and this is political, right? My 2 cents. A lot of times with these EV tax credits, they'll be in place temporarily, hoping that we still have leadership in 2030 to make these permanent, right? So eventually, even though we're supporting, and this is the shapeshift to the shit, right? We go Democrat, we go pass a EV mandate for used cars, new cars, and they make it very advantageous. Say, hey, you're getting a tax credit for this, right? You would think that it's permanent when it's really temporary. So you have this car, you buy it in 2025, January, using tax credit, you're thinking it's going to go on forever. Now, should your car go from 2025 to 2032, 7-year lifespan of a car, that depends on you and your EV model maker. However, these were never permanent. So because these had the expiration of the 2032 here, for both of these used and regular vehicles, I guess, it always opened up the lane of being repealed or having to be basically codified. It's politics, right? So this basically takes it out, the 70, all these sections essentially, so there will be no codifying. It'll essentially be your tax credit ends before October 1st this year. So get used to that. But 7502, this is for buyers of new electric vehicles, and they had up to a $7,500 tax credit. Now, you don't see that in here, right? You don't see it in here because it's basically like, okay, cool, conforming amendments. This is amendment to say, bomb clause 3, inserting and after the comma, and after this, and after that. What happened? So you read all of this, and it's not saying anything about the 7,500. It's not saying exactly what the tax credit did, but it's the statutes. And the statutes, again, in the sections, they relate to basically get to a point. So here's where we go. And I don't know if it'll be helpful to actually show what I'm showing to the side, but I'm going to read it off for now. But essentially, this section is section 7502. This is for your Tesla Model 3 drivers and your Ford F-150 drivers who have the Lightning or any EV. You probably most likely took out the full credit, the whole $7,500 tax credit on last year, right? But hold on. Realistically, as I'm reading through, 80% of the EV sales were eligible for this tax credit. Cool. But car buyers, they probably weren't taking advantage of it like they needed to. Or EVs weren't selling like they needed to, right? The credit is now eliminated. Point blank period. So if you had the credit and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna buy this EV truck, I'm gonna buy this Model 3 personal, not the business, right? It's gonna be, all right, cool, I can get this right off. They're basically eliminating that. So that $7,500 on your EV truck, your Tesla Model 3, that you can no longer write off. If you had a used car, $4,000, then you have the $7,500, that's about $11,000 that you can't write off anymore, if you went the EV route. So what's next? 7053. And this is just, again, how policies get written. It's nothing major that you see. And all of these, honestly, even refueling, this is supposed to expire next year on my anniversary, right? It's expiring. No, wait, excuse me. This is expiring next year, not this year. But it was scheduled to expire December 31st. What else do we have? I'm going to go through all of these. This is expiring at the end of this year, which is the termination of energy efficient home improvement credit. That'll be interesting. I'll get to that one next. But let me go through all over the place. Let me go 753. Termination of qualified commercial clean vehicle credits. Businesses and fleet operators purchasing electric or alternative fuel vehicles up to $40,000 per vehicle. So I would assume if you have a business, you know, they talk wealth management, you know, buy a car over 6,000 pounds, all other stuff, you know, tax write-off. Essentially, this eliminates the tax credits for that. So this would impact, realistically, who does this impact, right? I had to ask perplexity. Your Amazon delivery drivers, your FedEx delivery drivers, your local delivery services. Now this 7053 is not for your average everyday person. These are for your businesses. So when Amazon's coming to buy that truck, you see the Amazon truck, the fleet, and they're driving by to deliver your packages, understand that the tax credit for those EV Amazon delivery trucks or the FedEx delivery trucks of $40,000 per vehicle is gone, right? For what it is. The commercial EVs, are a small but growing segment. Thousands of businesses claim the tax credit in 2023 from what my research has shown me, but the tax credit is eliminated and it's really going to hurt businesses with sustainability goals. Now, from my expertise in the work in the energy sector, I know that a lot of it between Amazon and the rest has essentially been realistically, my bad, Isaiah, hold on. I do read the comments. Isaiah, just reading the bill, that's why you're dogma. No, Isaiah, I'm not. I'm actually reading the bill to help educate people because I'm quite sure out of everything you've read through 4th of July, everything you've read through the last week of this big, beautiful bill passing, nobody has clarified exactly what's in the bill. Everybody's going off Medicare, Medicaid cuts, Social Security cuts, HBCU attacks. There's $60 billion in this bill for HBCU scholarships. Is it enough? No. There's also language regarding Parent Plus loans in this bill. So what I'm doing is actually taking for my community, my channel, going to read the statutes. So it's not dogma because I work in politics. I understand actually how to find the law and interpret the law for what it is. And I'm not a lawyer. How about that? Right? So what I'm doing is just going through my community, not to say, okay, this is right or wrong. I want to educate people. So maybe somebody in this chat has bought a Chevy Cobalt or a Ford F-150 Lightning, right? They bought an EV and they're used to having that $7,500 tax credit, or they went and bought a used EV, right? And now all of a sudden they went into last year, maybe they bought it before the year ended, right? Or 2023, 2024, whatever, right? They're used to that $4,000, that $7,500 tax credit. Now it's gone. How can I at least help educate you on that? So this is only one part of it. So if you think it's dogma, that's fine. Go read 870 pages for yourself. You probably won't. You probably didn't, right? Just like most elected officials, they probably won't. You're just going to take Medicare cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes. And then when you go file your taxes next year or in 2026, and you're expecting a $4,000, $5,000 check back from the IRS and it only comes back to be $600, is because all the tax credits that you thought you had, they're not there. So I'm not doing this to spread dogma. What I'm doing is to at least edify, educate some people who are here to say, hey, this is actually what's in the damn big, beautiful bill. So kiss my ass. They told me to stop addressing the haters, but Isaiah, I'm not justifying shit besides reading the bill and clarifying to people who may not see in section 503 that basically they can't use that tax credit anymore for their business. Maybe some clarity. Maybe you decided as an entrepreneur, you know what? They told me to go get a 6,000 pound car so I can write it off. Now all of a sudden you got a 6,000 pound car that's an EV and you can't get that write off anymore. I'm just trying to help some people. So make sure you like and subscribe for more. I appreciate it. Let me read through some more of this chat. Yeah, Daniel, I agree with it. No problem, Thomas. Isaiah, I said the tax credits are hurting EV sales, right? So if, to clarify that, what I was trying to clarify, if anything, that only 17% of the EV sales market is used EVs. So if California, a state that tried to push electric vehicle mandates on other states and had other states like Iowa, Idaho, and everybody suing them, it kind of goes into that same realm. But at the same time, you're providing tax credits for EVs. Cool. I'm not knocking that. That's it. So there's a part of auto manufacturers. Everybody else has their own little niche on what they feel important. But guess what? I'm just clarifying what's in here. So thank you, Elsa. Appreciate that. Yeah, then I said people aren't using tax credit based on the information that's there. So not everybody who maybe has the EV has used them. I don't know everybody's tax situation. I'm only replying to Isaiah. This starts in September. No, basically what it's saying here, like the termination of the qualified tax credit here to good time, it's saying that's when it ends. So essentially what happened here is for 7053 for the commercial clean vehicle tax credits, right? Initially, this was until 2032. What this is saying is now by September 30th, 2025, that tax credit ends. So realistically, you may only have 9 months of that tax credit versus the entire year. So that's what it is. No problem. Just trying to read through the chat. No, Isaiah, because you know, I'm just trying to be real. I mean, it's not an attack. I think it's being real because if you're gonna sit here and say I'm pushing dogma, like, no, bro, like, I'm just clarifying. So it is what it is. Appreciate you, Al. All right, let's get back to it. So 753, we left out there. So basically, if you have a business, you have a qualified tax credit, you're not going to be able to take that $40,000 that you put on there before as a write-off, right? So that impacts some businesses. Now, how would Jeff Bezos, how would Amazon feel about that? They probably help support it to some extent. But the EV mandate, for some people in my work in the energy sector, and I said this before, some of this wasn't just Amazon delivery trucks, right? Some of it was electric forklifts or electric semi-trucks. And then you're forcing this mandate for people to say, okay, we're going to invest in this. We're going to invest in it. Cool, right? Because, sidebar, people complain about the millionaires and billionaires on the Republican side. The millionaires and billionaires on the Democratic side who are going to profit off the clean energy movement. So let's not even act like they're not billionaires controlling all of us as if we're not puppets, right? So essentially, you're pushing this on the people for the manufacturing side, but maybe those EV forklifts and those EV semi trucks weren't working as good as the gas guzzlers, right? The diesel trucks. So that's the issue, right? But we're going to go on. We got to get more statutes to get through. 7504, termination of alternative fuel vehicles. This is amended to my wedding anniversary for next year. That's when it ends. It was supposed to end in 2032. Now, this one is for homeowners, businesses, local governments installing EV charging stations or alternative fuel infrastructures throughout. Now, this was for residential, $1,000. $100,000 write-off for commercial. So if you pull up to your Buc-ee's, your Busy Bees, your Shell gas station, your BP gas station, and they have these EV charging stations, 3 or 4, your Wawas, right? They basically had a write-off for these EV charging stations. Now here's a two-pronged approach. One, and a lot of times when they're doing this construction, a lot of companies weren't actually measuring the grid itself to say, okay, how many EV charging stations can this apartment complex or this gas station take and not hurt the grid? Because we're already on the grid from this facility by itself. Now it's EV. So now if you have a Tesla and you put a Tesla or EV charging station in your house, you were used to having $1,000 rebate, $1,000 write-off. That's gone now, right? Now, wait. It's not gone till next June 30th, 2026. So this isn't this year. This is, you get still 2025. You get the entire EV charging station. If you put it in your house, you still get that $1,000 write-off. If you put it in your business, you still get $100,000 write-off. However, what changes is in July 1st, 2026, it ends. So now if you're making an investment for your business, for your home, you have something to think about and say, okay, if I know this ends, then where are we at? Now, over 50,000 people in 2022, residential and commercial, basically installed charging stations throughout the country. You've seen them everywhere. The issue ends up being the out-of-pocket costs along with the grid. But who's impacted by this? Homeowners, renters, and businesses installing EV charging stations. So now there will be a lot of businesses who are very pro sustainability, pro the environment, who will now look and say, you know what? I'm not getting the tax benefit for having all these charging stations, because in a lot of these places, you may pull up to a Wawa and see 10, 15 charging stations. That may be reduced to 5 in the next 5 to 10 years, unless something comes in and changes it. Now, rural and underserved communities, they have had limited charging access because of the grid, because you end up getting into investor-owned utilities, co-ops, municipal-owned utilities, which is a whole nother thing, right? So if you're in Tennessee, you could be in the northern part of Alabama, you're in Tennessee Valley Authority. If you're in Mississippi, Alabama, you could be in Entergy. In Florida, you could be Duke Energy, FPL, or Next Air Energy, SoCal in California, right? So they're different energy companies, but essentially a lot of these rural areas, even if you're on the grid, they didn't have a lot of charging opportunities because they couldn't afford to put that extensive EV charging stations or a whole plethora of them in the community. So that's that. Let's go on to the next one. 7505, termination of energy efficient home improvement credit. Now I'll tell you this ends this year, December 30th, 31st, 2025. It's supposed to go till 2032. So for what you see and what we have here collectively is, how can I say? I had my home built 2021. I don't think we are basically getting any of these credits. Because to me, my mindset going into this, I had to add solar, I had to add water pumps. I had to add everything to my house in order to get this. That was my assumption going into it, right? I haven't checked my notes yet. We're gonna get to my notes in a second. But I knew that for a lot of the energy efficient home improvement tax credits, whether the fridge, lighting, whatever, I don't think we qualify because we had a new home. But guess what? A lot of new homeowners out here, and I know my nails are long. I'm gonna cut my nails before the next stream. My apologies. I've been tripping. All right, I've been in the zone. Either way, there are a lot of homes who've been built who may not qualify, but they want to. So now you got to, most likely in my mind, I got to go reinvest and put solar on my home. But then here's the other thing, right? And I'm gonna get to clarify just to make sure. Yeah. All right. Cool. So a lot of these energy efficiency improvements, they end up having these programs called PACE, Performance Assessed Clean Energy, right? And what they'll do is essentially they can make a lot of these energy efficient improvements to your home and put it on your tax rolls without you having to put out any money. The issue is for a new homeowner, like we have a new build, our house is still settling for what it is, right? There's nothing in this home energy efficiency home improvement credit that we could qualify for because we have a new home. We would only probably get it if we put new everything in our home, but why would we want to put new everything in our home when we have a new house, right? However, if you're in a situation where you're taking maybe your homestead in maybe a duplex, right? Maybe this could be advantageous for you if it's a rental property. But let me get into it real quick. This is homeowners making energy saving upgrades. So essentially 7505, the termination of energy efficient home improvement credits. Essentially, it's for insulation. It's for your heat pumps. It's for your windows. And that was up to a $1,200 tax credit. Now, example I put in, if your family was upgrading your HVAC system and your windows, you could offset the cost. You still have to pay for the HVAC. You still have to pay for the windows, right? But you could offset $3,200 of that cost over several years. Now, the difference is, respectfully, if you did a PACE program, Performance Assessed Clean Energy, you could essentially add all that to your home without having to spend $1 because they would add it to your tax roll. So when your value of your home goes up, they essentially say, okay, cool, you went from $400,000 to $450,000. We're not going to add it to get a physical check from you. We're going to add it to your tax rolls. But also, because we add it to your tax rolls and because we add equity in your home, we get first right of refusal. So if you're looking to sell your home, we got to get our money first before the mortgage company or the banks get theirs. And that's been a big issue in certain states and certain localities where these PACE programs, CPACE for commercial, PACE for residential, where these PACE programs are coming in, they're providing energy efficient credits, right? You may go, okay, cool, I'm gonna write off these $3,200, but you're paying more in taxes. On top of it, when you go to sell your home, you didn't realize that the $30,000, $40,000 upgrade that they made, they're getting all that back up out your equity first. So that's something else. So who does this hurt? 7505 being repealed. Homeowners, especially in older housing. So if you're looking to improve a home, because it's not necessarily for new builds, of course, like I try to really clarify with my story. This is really for older homes where you're maybe looking for a 203K loan or any kind of refurbishment. Maybe you're taking a HELOC out to invest in some property and do something like that. That's where basically where it was from. Contractors and manufacturers will probably feel the blunt of this more than anything. But let me get to the chat real quick. 2022. So what's the difference between the before and the new bill? Basically, these were the tax credits. You could take $3,200 off or $1,200 off for these home improvements. Now you can't take any, right? Essentially, by when's the implementation date? After this is the last year of this tax credit, essentially. So if you add in that, you see hot water boiler or oil furnace, meets or exceeds the 2021 Energy Star efficiency criteria. That's essentially what that was. But let's get into the next statute because I don't want to take y'all time reading through some of this because we've had some drop off here, but it's okay. I appreciate y'all still tapping in. People who want to know, I'm gonna hopefully make some content up out of this so we can get some good content more than anything. 7506, termination of the residential clean energy tax credit. Let me actually read through my notes here before I assume what this is about. These are homeowners installing solar panels, geothermal, wind, or battery storage. Now, this kind of goes with the PACE program as well. This would allow you to write off 30% of your project costs. Now, something about solar panels, especially in my urban communities, my black communities, my communities of color, right? If you see the solar panel salesperson come to your house trying to sell it, don't buy it. It's the same thing with the PACE program. See, what happens is, if they come in and put solar panels on your roof, what happens is in maybe 3 to 5 years, you got to start replacing your shingles, right? I live in Florida, so we're prone to hurricanes. Also, your house can be insured, but those solar panels aren't insurable, right? So if they break, you have to fully replace. But more than anything, like the PACE program, these solar panel companies come in and they're taking not only increasing your taxes, but also a fact of increasing your equity, but also the main fact of it, they're getting first dibs on your equity, right? So let's say you bought that house for $350,000. Pandemic happened, all the different things happened. You're up to $450,000 or $100,000 in equity. You're up $450 in value of the house. Cool. Then they come in and say, you know what? I want to be more energy efficient. I want to put solar panels on my home to help lower my light bill. And you'll learn, and most people, you have your light bill, you have electric usage, your water usage, everything else, right? That electric bill dropping off the solar isn't really that much sometimes. Respectfully, you end up saving maybe $20 or $30 a month. Hypothetically speaking, $240 for a year is great. However, it's not what people, I would assume, look for when they switch over to solar. Because, and here's the thing, you could most likely gather more solar energy on the ground than you can your rooftop. But they don't allow you to put solar on the ground because guess what? They want you to have acres in order to do that, because they know that the solar power generated on the ground will be so much more than your roof because the sun shifts and all that other stuff. But either way, this is what takes away roughly if you put $20,000 in solar panels on your home, you could basically claim a $6,000 tax credit. And this is essentially eliminated. Now, the biggest thing is equity, of course. It's also the roofing. The unexpected burdensome costs of solar panels that didn't really benefit the 500,000 people who actually claim the credit or put solar panels on their homes. Now, you could look and say, okay, it's great, it's amazing, you're energy efficient. Sometimes it hurts the home sale value. And again, let's say you're up $100,000 in equity. The $20,000 you put in solar panels, that is the first dibs. They get first right of refusal, just like the PACE program. So if you use these programs, you have these people come install solar, go look into it, your taxes increase, the value of your home increases, so your mortgage essentially could increase. And at the same time, they get first right of refusal. So this will impact, of course, homeowners seeking energy independence and lower energy bills. Again, your energy is in your water. Your water is different from your energy, so make sure if you're buying solar panels, you're putting them in, you're not getting that tax credit on top of it, it's not really going to benefit you. So let's go to the next one. 7507, Termination of energy efficient commercial building deductions. Now, this is the same, it expires next year, June 30th, 2026. Anything June 1st next year is termination. So 7507, this is for your building owners, tenants, making qualifying energy efficiency improvements, deducting $5 per square foot. Now, this is essentially for my warehouses, people I talked about earlier. You want to improve your efficiency. The investors have basically said, like, hey, we want more money from this stock, so we're going to invest in this company. If you'd have electric forklifts, put solar panels on the roof, everything, and you have a 40,000 square foot facility, like $5 per square foot. Yes, throw the solar panels on top. Throw the new HVAC. Throw everything. And now all of a sudden they're saying, like, hey, listen, hey, chill. Because the energy efficiency improvements may have not been happening the way we thought they would, right? Now, if you own an office tower, if you are in an office tower that's upgraded or put HVAC systems in a building, if you are a real estate developer, this tax credit is basically hurting you in some aspects, because right now your commercial landlords and tenants would not have an extra write-off for energy efficiency, so they may just raise your rents. It is what it is. 7508. Termination of a new energy efficient home credit. Now, this is a home building construction tax credit for high energy efficiency standards in a new home. You get up to $5,000 per home, but for first time buyers, if you had a Lennar DR Horton home, they probably most likely put a lot of energy efficient stuff in the construction of your home, which is great. This is one of those ones where if you were building or having a green home, smart home, like in Jacksonville, we have a place called E-Town, right? Where a lot of electric, they like clean energy areas, right? This would affect that essentially, right? If you have not just the energy efficient fridge. You're talking about actual, hold on, energy efficient everything. Like I've seen some homes, maybe they have the Tesla solar panels, or they're built in with the EV charging station. So that would essentially be it. That's gone too, right? Let's get to the next one. 7509, termination of cost recovery for energy property. Now, businesses could accelerate depreciation of renewable energy property. Think about that. So if you had a solar farm, a wind farm, if you had a facility that was creating or manufacturing batteries, now batteries for your Tesla, for your EV, batteries like Duracell, batteries in general, right? Or for energy efficiency in general, right? Essentially they're taking this out. So this is like Trump was saying earlier in the cabinet meeting about the wind farms that farmers want. They're looking at these wind farms. Now, honestly, I'll be real with you. For someone who's actually worked and negotiated a lot of conversations regarding solar farms, that is a very, very controversial issue, because some people do not want to see solar farms. Some people feel it'll degrade the value. But what happens is, realistically, an energy association company will come in. They may say, you know what, we need to lease this land for 30 years. We'll pay the taxes and we'll help you negotiate selling this energy to the energy providers locally, right? Whether it's community, invest on utility, whatever. So essentially, this is a major tax write-off that people could essentially say, you know what, over the years, we want to make sure that this doesn't happen, that we could write this off. And this is honestly not just in energy. This actually happens in affordable housing, where people will be like, you know what, I want to write off $250,000 a year for the next 15 years. Where can I invest? Oh, there's a new opportunity zone where we can invest some resources, right? And if I keep my money in this opportunity zone for 10 years, I probably get all my investment back, or it's tax-free on any of my earnings, realistically, right? So all that put together, it gets into this whole phase, this whole motion of the scalability for property, really, right? So I may have brain fart in there. I'm reading and trying to catch up. But either way, people are trying to write off their taxes for affordable housing. They're trying to write off, get a tax break for these solar farms, these wind farms, and they would rather have the land used for farm or development. But the other part of it is kind of like we've seen with Alligator Alcatraz. There's an environmental piece to it too, because sometimes the solar farm isn't good for the environment, or nothing can be done in an area because of the soil or whatever. So maybe a solar farm or a wind farm will be the best thing because nothing commercial or industrialized can be built in certain areas, not just Florida, but across the country. And it happens that way, right? Let's keep going. 7510, right? Through 7515, these are restrictions, phase outs of nuclear, hydrogen, clean electric, and advanced manufacturing. Zero emissions nuclear power production. And this is, there's a major conversation that they have a conversation around AI, but also nuclear rods. Now, you may not know, I'm not going to assume, a nuclear rod basically vertical. Instead of a nuclear plant, they have nuclear rods that could basically power an entire state in one room. Like my whole room could probably power the entire city of Jacksonville plus some, right? But how did Lisa ask a question earlier? Basically, this is, I'm gonna go to my notes. This could hurt really utility companies, right? Clean energy industry, advanced manufacturing in regions where energy transition jobs are very needed. Now, this could be someone like, hey, we need to build a nuclear rod facility for this AI plant in Mississippi or in Indiana or whatever. These could be those tax credits that kind of lead into there. But this is basically for developers of nuclear, hydrogen, or clean energy projects, manufacturers of advanced energy components. Now, to me, this is one of those tax credits, with this section at least, where it'll really maybe delay our input with AI, right? Now, some of this, I know, like clean hydrogen production, they're not for it by 2028. What I read in this is that they're giving us some time to actually be viable with this one, right? Hydrogen production is very new. It's just how do you stop the water from evaporating for the most part, right? Clean electricity production credit. Basically, all of them are gone. So that's your wind and solar. So the tax credit you would have for building out a wind farm or solar farm is essentially gone, which is leads to fewer clean new energy products. Now, I know energy is boring to some folks. We may have lost 300 or 400 people on this whole energy breakdown. It is what it is. I'm gonna get to the chat real quick and then maybe wrap up this one. Let's see. Go full canvas from all my people. Check through the chat. I appreciate y'all tapping in with your boy today, for real. Let's see where we are. Citizens and people should be rewarded for living life the green way. It's if it's possible, living better for the next generation. I agree with you. It would be great to try to save our environment and save our everything for the next generation, but I don't think we're actually focused on that. I hate to say it that way. Does this affect buying batteries for a house? No, John, this is for like your major battery manufacturing company. So they have some in Georgia. One of my former clients, they had built a battery manufacturing plant to where they can charge or build these EV batteries or different things. So it's different. It's not your Duracells. Sorry, not a distraction. I live in Switzerland and it's sad to try to understand this. I understand. Hey, Jimmy James, appreciate you. All right, guess 6600. Guess 6600. Appreciate you. Most Germans working the blue collar jobs. Appreciate that. The tax kills you. Yeah, John, people really are doing it for what it is. Content has no real breakdown of effect. Solar works, expectation and reality have to meet. How about don't get solar if you don't have money? Isaiah, I get what you're saying. And Isaiah, I didn't mean to attack you earlier. My apologies if you're still here. I'll say this. Solar works depending on the narrative, right? Honestly. Yes, you shouldn't get solar if you don't have the money, but the way people sell it to you, they make it seem affordable, right? So that's the issue, because honestly, I've had solar panel salesmen come to my house, all the way go through their pitch at the door, give them some water because it's hot as hell outside, it's Florida. And I say, yeah, I'm not doing it because you're going to increase my taxes, you're going to increase this, I got to replace this, I got to replace that, and you're going to increase everything, right? And when I get into it, they're like, yeah, how do you know this? Because most people don't know that. So it's not a fact of people not being able to afford it. What they're sold is, I want to help the environment. I want to help the world. I want to do my part by lowering my carbon footprint. Cool, right? These are great talking points over here. Then they say, all right, cool. The salesman comes and they try to sell them solar. And then they don't think to themselves, well, damn, what about my equity? What about my taxes? What about the cost of my house going up and how much I'm going to have to pay in property taxes increasing? Now, I say taxes 2 times because depending on what kind of program you do, right? If you're doing a PACE program, maybe it's going on your tax rolls and you're paying for it in your tax rolls, that $20,000 or $30,000 they put in, right? You're not paying that up front. Versus the other one where you're paying a monthly fee for the solar on your home after they install, and you realize like, wait, I'm paying an extra $200 for the solar, but my light bill didn't drop $200, right? So that's the thing. Al, we should get rid of property tax. Al, I need you on the show. We need to have this conversation because you're a former Florida state elected official. We're talking about property taxes, and I know that you'll have a great opinion. I'm gonna text you after this for real. We gotta connect. Hey, Al said he's okay with on tax credit. We gotta get my dog Al Jaquette on, man. Oil taxes prohibit use. See, and here's the other thing. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up after this. Isaiah, I appreciate you tapping in for real today. The biggest thing with EV charging stations, like I saw somebody put they would charge for them, right? DD, what's up, baby? I still didn't put a schedule out there. My bad for being unprofessional with you, my brother. But the thing is, with EVs, a lot of them are heavier than regular cars. So when you have these EV charging stations, EV batteries, these cars end up being a lot heavier. That's how you can ride them off on your business, 6,000 in the weight limit or whatever, right? So what happens is a lot of these EVs, because they don't pay for gas, they don't buy gas, they're not paying into the gas tax, right? But then the weight of the vehicles are destroying the roads from, the weight. That's how you have so many potholes for real. Like, let's be real. So what happens is, even though the EVs are supposed to protect the environment, be cleaner than gas, What hurts the earth is the asphalt you have to put down to replace the road after that EV has fucked up the road, right? Or disposing of that EV battery and all the other things. So even though a lot of people are pushing environmental friendly EV, Green New Deal for whatever it is, a lot of this stuff does not help the environment, which I think are the biggest thing. But collectively, we've been streaming roughly 3 hours here. I had we started great. I had some internet issues with AT&T fiber. I'm about to cuss the ass out for y'all, because guess what? I don't want to interrupt my stream and my community of people for some damn bad internet. But everybody who tapped in, please, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. I'm gonna try to stream later tonight, but my son, honestly, Tyler, terrible threes, three-naters, my wife calls it, right? For some odd reason, he's been waking up at like, we put him in bed 8:30, 9 o'clock, sleep training, right? Believe in it. He's been waking up like 11, 1 a.m., 3 a.m. And I'm one of those dads to where I don't want to hear my son cry all night, but I don't want to sit here and like be a tough guy and whatever. I didn't grow up with a sperm donor father in my house. So when I hear my son crying, daddy, it's like, damn, this is something I may have wanted as a child. But either way, my son's sleep pattern is thrown off my schedule, so I haven't been able to stream late night like I want to. So I'm not going to make a promise to y'all to say I'm going to be here later, but I will put a stream up, or at least a scheduled stream for y'all to tap in. So either way, thank y'all for tapping in for President Trump's cabinet meeting. We had to cut that off early, but also everybody who's tapped in overall. My man Al Jaquette, we need to get you on the show. I'm gonna hit you up today. Thank you for everyone who's helped grow this channel from 300 subs to right under 4,100. Oh, actually, my God, y'all are amazing. We went from 3,900 to 4,200 today. We eclipsed the 4,000 mark of subscribers. Very, very appreciative. I love y'all, for real. Thank you. I'm gonna ask for no donations. Just like and subscribe. Maybe when I get to 10,000 subs, I may start asking for donations. But I'm not a beggar. I'm not that kind of guy. But either way, thank you. I'm about to run my little end screen. I don't have an official end screen yet. I'm gonna work on that. I may hire somebody to do it. But thank y'all, right? This is only the first part. You're welcome, John. Of my breakdown of the big beautiful bill. What I want to do is at least have a segment each show where I'm going through and we're actually dissecting this piece, because I feel personally, if I can help educate you, you can help educate someone else. Then we're not all around here just mad at the world and calling racism and politicians bullshit and everything else, right? Whatever. Regardless of it, I'll see y'all later. Thank you again. I'm out.